Great Basin National Park, a place unique and unlike any place on Earth, with a seeming ocean of dry landscape for hundreds of miles in each direction. In the midst of this scenery, the rise of majestic Wheeler Peak, reaching to the sky, seems like an anomaly to the space and vastness. The rock face, etched with snow throughout the year, stands overlooking the land in all directions, like a beacon of hope providing life in the starkness of the space. Standing on its sloping plain that flows downhill to a sea of desert shrubbery, and gazing at the basin of Snake Valley thousands of feet below, the yellow and brown expanse is dotted with large circles of deep green fields where irrigation is carefully distributed for agriculture, designed to not waste a drop of the precious water it uses. Traveling through this land, the mind ponders the question of where does this water come from? Baker Lake begins at the base of Wheeler Peak. Here, snowmelt from the intense winter storms collect in shallow small lakes carved from glaciers over 10,000 years ago. These imprints in the rocky mountainside fill and spill out their excess. These limestone cliffs are easily eroded by ice, which creates dramatic faces of rock that cannot hold much snow and ice, creating a backdrop of reflection in the shallow water. Baker Lake is small but beautiful. The lake is reflective and takes little water to fill and spill over into Baker Creek, but as it spills over its edge, it begins a short and extraordinary journey down the steep mountainside. Continuing its trek down the mountainside, Baker Creek finds spaces of tranquil peace percolating through rocks and fallen limbs, with a sound that was a roaring voice interrupting the forest to the soft murmur when in the moments of reprieve the slope eases. Here the visitor finds solace and personal peace in an alpine forest that only exists because of the uplifting of the land amidst the vast deserts of the Great Basin. As Baker Creek moves down the mountainside, it returns to its cascading unrest. Its sounds and movement bring life to the forest where campers and hikers are graced with the never-ceasing sounds of the creek. However, as Baker Creek continues to the lower reaches of the mountain's forest, it quickly gives way to shrubbery and dense streamside deciduous trees. As the water slows down through the lower slopes and cutting through small canyons, it continues to gurgle along its way to nourish the basin below. This water will never meet the ocean or a lake or a river. From here at 7,000 feet elevation, it begins to dissipate as the water starts seeping into the ground, only to percolate down to the bedrock, where it flows underground to the basin and meets up with large aquifers that rest and replenish for centuries. Soon, in another 1,000 feet down the slope, Baker Creek meets with Layman Creek, but instead of Baker Creek becoming a larger one, it finds diversion structures that split it up into smaller flows for ranching and agriculture. Even these smaller subcreeks lose their water as they absorb into the ground. Very little water flows into the basin of Snake Valley, and when it finally reaches its destination, it's already in the underground aquifers. Baker Creek's last push as it crosses the main highway at Baker, Nevada, is a slower moving flow, quickly losing its contents on its way to its end. This beautiful creek of melted snow and ice thousands of feet up the mountainside does not come to a sad demise. It preserves itself for the nourishment of the land. As these aquifers are pumped out for agriculture, this cycle is the way of the amazing desert here in Great Basin.